as our co-host, Krista Mitchell of Mitchell Solutions. And our special guest today, a representative from Wells Fargo Bank. Without further ado, I'd like to transfer it over to our host, Crystal Mitchell.
Welcome, everyone. Glad you are here. This platform is here so that we have a conversation that is definitely needed in our community with all our thought leaders and our community-based organizations. My vision was that we all work together and close down our silos and are helping each other grow past where we are today. And so COVID is my silver lining, because finally I got my platform and I got people that are coming together to help each other that look like each other. So thank you, COVID. So thank you guys for tuning in today. We have a great guest today that's going to share with you on what's going on with Wells Fargo and how they are, like many of the corporations, looking to help us as Black people move forward past the pandemic. There is a life after pandemic. And so if I failed to mention, I am Crystal Mitchell. I am the co-director of Recycling Black Dollars, and this is a joint effort between the BBA, the Black Business Association, and many of the other CBOs in the community, Vermont Slauson, PCR. We've had several banks on, so we are coming together to make a difference and helping our people move forward and become an active, thriving community in this city and hopefully in other cities as well. Maybe this will be a model that everybody can feed off on. So thank you guys for being here. We had another guest, but he's not going to co-host with me today. So it's going to be me. And so I want to welcome DuVon Davis from Wells Fargo. And Stephen, I don't have his embedded in all of my notes, his bio. Can you read it? Do you have it nearby?
I don't need notes.
Okay, well, you go right ahead. Take it away.
DuVon Davis, a 20-year veteran of Wells Fargo, also alum of Princeton, the same school that produced Michelle Obama and some others. Been in the community, very passionate about the bridging the gap between our communities that are underserved and underrepresented with one of the world's largest financial institutions. Without further ado, DuVon G. Davis.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. My name is DuVon Davis. First of all, I want to thank Steve for inviting me to speak and our gracious host, Crystal. Today, myself and Jack Olree, he'll introduce himself later on. Today, we'll speak a little bit about Wells Fargo and some of the great initiatives, programs, and resources that we have for small businesses, and particularly African-American owned businesses. So again, thank you for your time. Let me spend a quick minute on myself just so you know who you're talking with. My name is DuVon Davis. I'm originally from Chicago, went to school on the East Coast, got recruited to come to Wells Fargo to work, and I thought I'd check out LA for a year or two. Wound up getting married. I have 2 kids, 10 and 12. Been out here for almost 20 years now, and have really enjoyed my experience with Wells Fargo. So that's just a little bit about me. I do want to talk about maybe a couple of topics in the 3 areas of Wells Fargo initiatives, Wells Fargo resources, and Wells Fargo programs. And let me start with the first initiative, which is advancing African-American home ownership. Wells Fargo is in the middle of a 10-year commitment where we are supporting and want to create 250,000 African-American homeowners. And this equates to a significant commitment of $60 billion. And I think that's great. And one of the questions I know you have and that I have is, okay, that's a great goal. What have you actually done? And we reached out and talked to our different partners. and ask that exact question. In the last 3 years, we have committed over $15.2 billion to home loans. And on top of that, we have another 8.5 million for homeowner education. So helping people prepare and plan and actually be able to apply and succeed and achieve that loan. So I think that's really important. I know home ownership is not the same as small business. It's not the same as lending to small business. But you know, for me and for many others, your home is your biggest asset. And that asset can help you achieve or gain the equity you need to get a loan to start a business or serve as collateral to start a business. So I think that is important in African-American wealth that we have home ownership. So I think that's really important. Another initiative I do want to talk about is supplier diversity. We have a whole business unit within our supply chain management that is dedicated to working with diverse suppliers. And I think that's important because it has to be intentional. It's not going to happen if it's not intentional. There's many forces, and this could be another conversation of why it does not happen. So in order for it to happen, it has to be intentional. And let me take a quick look at my notes because this is important. In 2019, Wells Fargo spent $1.3 billion with diverse suppliers. I think that's incredible. I didn't know that, and I learned that in the last couple of weeks when I was kind of doing some research. I think that's critical and important. And that represents about 11% of our annual spend, our controllable annual spend. Again, 11%, that's important. We always want to improve it, but that's an important start. That's an important thing. How much of that, and I want to take a moment here. When we say diverse, it also depends on how you define diverse. So I want to specify how much we've spent with African-American owned businesses. That's been $140 million in 2019 alone. Specifically in Greater LA, that was, I want to say 49 million with African-American owned businesses. Again, something to improve, but a great start, a great place to be. I don't know what other banks have done, but I'm really proud of that. So I definitely want to point that out.
Okay.
Over the last 5-6 years, Wells Fargo has spent over $800 million with African-American businesses nationwide. So again, I think we're doing a great job. I always want to see that number improve, and I think it's going to grow. But I think that's really something to be proud about. So those were a couple of initiatives that I did want to talk about. And again, there's a lot of information that Jack and I will share with you. We will definitely send you a fact sheet. We'll send you links to different programs that we talk about. So that will be forthcoming. So don't worry about writing all the information down, all the numbers down. We will send all that information to you afterward. I'll probably send it to Crystal and Stephen and make sure it's shared with the group. So know that information is coming. There's a lot more initiatives I could talk about. Again, there's some on our website. Jack will talk about a few more later on, but I want to jump to some of the resources that we have. One in particular is called the Small Business Resource Center. This is on the Wells Fargo website, available to everyone. Again, I will send you the link later on, but this website has a plethora of information for small businesses. It is geared towards small businesses. They have information on capital creation or capital considerations, information on marketing, strategy, a lot of different areas. And some of they have webinars and different articles. And some of the articles talk about how do you adapt your business during COVID-19? How do you stay afloat during the crisis? Cash flow is critical. How are you looking at that information? How are you working with your different partners, your different financial partners? How are you working with your different partners outside of the banks, your customers and your vendors? How are you avoiding supply disruptions? You know, our businesses are being impacted, other businesses are well. Are they getting you the products and information you need to serve your customers? How are your customers doing? How are they handling themselves? Are they going to be able to pay you? How is their cash flow working? How can you help them, and how can they help you? So there's a lot of great information in that. And again, it's a website on the wellsfargo.com platform. I'll send you the direct link so you can look at that. I won't go into too much more detail, but I would encourage everyone to look at that website and gain information that applies to their business. So another resource that I want to share relates to the Paycheck Protection Program. And before I go into that resource, I do want to share some statistics on the Paycheck Program. Wells Fargo lent over or processed over 10 billion in PPP program applications. Again, I think that's great. It's needed, and I'm glad Wells Fargo was part of that. I know there was changes throughout from the government and different banks, but I'm glad we were able to be, I believe, the number 3 lender across the U.S. with 10 billion in applications processed. Another point that I want to point out is our average loan size was around 59,000. Now this ranked 14th across the nation for various banks, and that was intentional. When Wells Fargo started this program or started the process, we targeted small businesses with employees, less than 50 employees, and nonprofits, with the goal of supporting small businesses, not your medium or large size businesses. So I think that's important, and that was intentional. Our average loan size was I believe, 59,000. Again, I think that was critical, making sure that we help the businesses that needed it the most. So that's just a little bit about the actual program itself. What I want to talk about is the program was intended to help businesses make it through this period, but it was also intended for the loans to be forgivable. And so that, once you have the money and you need the money, you want that forgiven so you don't have to pay that back. It's not another cash drain on the business. So I believe next week, the government has opened up the period for companies to apply for loan forgiveness. So Wells Fargo has come up again with another resource to help small businesses apply for loan forgiveness. And I believe it opens up next week, the week of the 17th. This website, and again, we'll send you the information, the direct link to that website, will help businesses prepare to apply for the loan, to understand what expenses were covered, what the timing needs to be for those expenses to be incurred, what documents you should prepare. It would also have information for customers that got loans through Wells Fargo, PPP loans through Wells Fargo, of how to apply, when to apply, what information and what feedback to receive. Now that portion will be specific to Wells Fargo customers that apply through Wells Fargo for PPP loans. But again, I would encourage everybody, because the website has information that's applicable to everyone on regards how to prepare. Now your bank may have different processes and regulations, but the general information of how to apply, what information to prepare will be universal and apply to everyone. So that's another program that I wanted to talk about. The other thing that website has is a link to the Small Business Administration, because they have the most up-to-date information on the program. I learned that they recently implemented the Flexibility Acts, which allow small businesses more time to use those funds and more time to apply for forgiveness. So I think it's really important to stay up to date on the different changes that are happening, because and there may be more changes coming forth in the next few weeks. There's a lot of discussion of changing some of the requirements and some of the programs. So definitely stay tuned to those, to the Small Business Administration website, and get the latest information. So there's a lot more I could talk about. I want to get more to the actual programs Wells Fargo has put forth in the community. I think that are really exciting. With that, I will turn it over to Jack Olree. Jack?
Thanks, DuVon. I'm trying to come online here. There I am. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
DuVon, great information. Thank you for sharing that. And again, you know, I always appreciate your partnership. So good morning, everybody. My name is Jack Olree, and I am Senior Community Relations Vice President and part of our corporate philanthropy team here in Los Angeles. Again, thank you for having me on today. I'm going to be covering a lot of detailed information in a short amount of time, so fair warning, but please bear with me and rest assured, as DuVon mentioned, we will be sharing direct links to all the resources mentioned after the call for your reference. So in the interest of time, I'm just going to jump right in here. I'd like to start off with the $175 million accelerated COVID-19 support from the Wells Fargo Foundation that I'm sure a lot of you have read or heard about. And in March, Wells Fargo announced that it would redirect $175 million in philanthropic funding to accelerate COVID-19 relief efforts. Since then, the company and our local market foundations across the footprint have worked to streamline grant making and offer funding to more than 4,400 nonprofits across all 50 states and 23 countries. Listening to the needs of the nonprofits, we were hearing that they could most benefit from funding for general operating expenses to help meet the rising demand for services in lieu of grants towards a specific program, which we typically look to support. Our leadership decided to allow organizations to use the money to best meet their evolving needs, which most certainly makes a huge difference in their reaction time in helping the communities during the pandemic. Our goal was to accelerate the bulk of the giving by June, again, to help the nonprofits respond to the community affected by the pandemic as soon as possible. And there was obviously leadership consensus at all levels within the enterprise that this was the right thing to do for our communities, and particularly for those most vulnerable. As we support the COVID-19 needs, we are prioritizing those that affect people in the areas of small business, housing, and financial health, all three of which are critical to COVID-19 recovery. There are a lot of great examples of this support in action on our Wells Fargo Story website, again, of which I will share the link with Stephen after the presentation today. I'm proud to say that we met our goal of allocating the funds by the end of Q2, and the local foundations are now closed for the remainder of 2020. However, even though the local foundations are closed, one of the great things about Wells Fargo is that there are still other opportunities for support of small businesses and the nonprofits that support them. So first up, let's look at the LA Regional COVID-19 Recovery Fund. So the $3 million recovery fund was established as a joint effort by the county and the city of Los Angeles, Wells Fargo, and other philanthropic partners. And it's assisting small businesses, nonprofits, and micro entrepreneurs that have been adversely impacted by the pandemic with both financial and technical assistance to help keep their businesses afloat. The fund was launched on July 6th, and the program will deploy hundreds of grants available at $5,000 increments for micro entrepreneurs and $15,000 increments for small businesses and nonprofits. Please note that although our local Wells Fargo Foundation in Los Angeles provided $1.1 million in grants to support these efforts, we do not play a role in the decision-making. There's 6 rounds total. Finalists are notified after each round. Round 3 just closed, so we're halfway there, but still plenty of time to prepare and apply. Round 4 is going to open on August 17th. All phases of this recovery fund will be accompanied by support from diverse technical assistance partners and community development financial institutions, aka CDFIs, that Wells Fargo has supported as part of this initiative. Organizations like Vermont Slauson, Pacific Coast Regional and their SBDC, LISC, the Center by Lendistry, Inclusive Action for the City, PACE, API Small Business Program, and more. So again, I will share the link to the county's website with more information for you on how to apply, etc. Next up, we're going to look at our Wells Works for Small Business website with our corresponding diverse community capital program. So Wells has been looking to help small businesses achieve financial success for quite some time. Back in 2014, Wells Fargo introduced Wells Fargo Works for Small Business. It's a broad initiative to deliver resources, guidance, and services for small business owners. So through wellsfargoworks.com, we offer guidance on topics such as writing a business plan, step-by-step information, marketing your business, managing cash flow, and building credit to help business owners increase their knowledge and confidence. The site, which is different than the one that DuVon was speaking about, includes hundreds of featured stories, informational articles, and videos featuring national small business strategy experts and business owners sharing their experiences. Of course, if needed, our business banking team is available to help you through the platform and explain what resources are available and how to take advantage of them. So in addition to these online resources, the Wells Fargo Diverse Community Capital Program, or DCCP, is part of the Wells Works initiative for small business support, with an additional $175 million commitment to community development financial institutions to help build their capacity to lend to and provide technical assistance to diverse small business owners. According to Opportunity Finance Network's latest report, program awardees closed more than $84 million in loans to African-American entrepreneurs in 2019 alone. So, working with and supporting CDFIs is extremely important to Wells Fargo, as not all businesses are quite bank ready. And what the CDFIs help us do is help small business owners get the access to capital and valuable technical assistance they need to run and grow their businesses, with an end goal of helping them on their way to becoming bankable. As a quick side story here, I attended a CDFI workshop put on by the Feds last year, which consisted of a panel of mainstream financial institutions and CDFIs that they worked with, speaking to success stories of how they help their customers either working together to finance different parts of the loan scenario, or as a successful referral of a decline. And the main message of the day was that if you're not having the CDFI conversation with your declined business customers, you're failing yourself, the customer, and the community. And I, for one, take that very seriously. I have always made it a point to keep our business banking team aware of this valuable resource, what we're doing with the CDFIs via our local foundation and the DCCP, and to share with our business customers and community at large. One other point additionally, another investment that complements the Wells Fargo DCCP is that Wells has announced it's seeking to invest up to another $50 million in capital for minority depository institutions, or MDIs, as a part of our commitment to supporting economic growth in African-American communities. As you can imagine, an infusion of capital in these smaller community-based banks is a meaningful investment, because the ultimate beneficiaries are minority members of low to moderate income communities, a demographic that Wells Fargo is committed to supporting, and their success is tied to the success of our broader communities. These investments will be facilitating both community and economic development. And then finally, one of the most exciting initiatives recently to support small businesses, our Open for Business Fund. As DuVon mentioned, on April 5th, Wells announced that it was targeting lending up to $10 billion in the Paycheck Protection Program, PPP. All gross processing fees, as opposed to net, generated from these PPP loans will be donated to nonprofits that support small businesses. This opportunity allows Wells Fargo to deepen its commitment, go above and beyond the PPP lending to support the urgent and long-term needs of small businesses across the United States. And given the size of the funding that we will deploy, it's currently estimated at approximately $400 million. Wells Fargo will be able to drive a large-scale impact in the community as a major philanthropic supporter of small business in the country. The Open for Business Fund is designed to help keep small businesses, especially racially and ethnically diverse owned small businesses, operational and positioned to thrive in the aftermath of COVID-19. The fund addresses both urgent and ongoing needs through the grant support to nonprofits aimed at three areas. Number one, CDFIs, increasing access to capital and payment relief to struggling small businesses. And then number 2 is technical assistance, which provides small business owners with the education, training, and other support services needed to successfully navigate the new economic reality. And then R&R, which is dedicating resources to support recovery and resiliency. Wells created the Open for Business Fund with a clear and transparent methodology for the nonprofit selection process, as well as a simple overall program concept. With the streamlined 3-part approach, it provides both clarity and focus so that we know we're driving impact in both the short and the long term. So the timeline for the Open for Business Fund, the first round of applications for CDFIs closed on August 7th. Subsequent rounds for technical assistance and response and resiliency are going to open mid-September. The funding schedule for CDFIs is late Q3 through Q1 of 21. And then for the TA and R&R funding, that's going to be Q1 of 21 to Q1 of 22. Again, I have links around this program, the guidelines, the application. There's also a dedicated email repository link for special questions about your nonprofit. And that's all I have for now, but please know, I want to mention that one of my goals in today's briefing is not only to share the valuable information with you on how to access the resources, but I'm also open to working with any of you on a one-on-one basis. If you need more information, have additional questions, or you want to talk offline about your nonprofit or business, please know I'm here to help in any way that I can. As a former small business owner myself and coming from a family of entrepreneurs, I know what it's like. And it can be a roller coaster, not to mention with COVID around. So in addition to the links, I'm also going to share my contact email and cell phone. So thank you all again for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Jack, can I ask a question? Reportedly, there's over $115 million or 30% of the deposits that are in the zip codes 9888, 90043 and 47 and 56, and there are over 131,000 Black people located in Los Angeles. What are the specific examples of targeting that Wells Fargo will direct to those communities? And also, we know in the 9888 there's only one Wells Fargo bank. So what is the plan to reach those individuals?
So right now, I did connect with our region bank president and our corporate properties team, and I found out that we recently renewed our lease in the plaza. I think it was June 25th of this year for 5 years. So we are here to stay, and I know there's another 5-year option after that. I think the developer that was looking to purchase the plaza has pulled out. And from what I gathered, that's what the community was hoping for. So again, you know, we're in the community, and I think there's another branch a couple miles away as well. As far as the market share, I did connect with the president, and we do have 33%. I think there was a decimal point missing. It's actually 115,000. It was 114,000 some odd dollars, but that's 33%. I think Bank of America has a little larger share than we do, and there was another couple of banks as well. But you know, all the resources that I mentioned today are focused across the country, and they are available for any Black-owned business, et cetera, to come in and take advantage.
Okay, so and also there's a question that's posed is what fundings will be available for financial literacy programs? Because we know a lot of what's going on within our communities is the fact that that's a gap in that, and we also saw that with the PPP in a lot of our businesses. So with that technical assistance, will there be something like that available? And
yeah, thanks, Crystal. I think, you know, if we're talking about small business owners, absolutely. And the CDFIs and their SBDCs are there for the TA. I know that Pacific Coast Regional alone helped thousands of customers apply for the PPP and helped them generate, I think, almost $50 million. So the resources are out there. One of our focuses in the foundation is financial health. And we work with a lot of organizations that have financial literacy programs. And this year with the general op support, our financial health category also allowed for direct financial assistance to the client base of nonprofits, helping them with utilities, rent, et cetera. But I agree with you, financial education is extremely important. Again, there is a wealth of resources online with Wells Fargo. You can connect with me for more information on other nonprofit partners that offer this, and with our business banking team for business specific questions. You really got to go in there. There's a lot, again, of information, but you got to dive in, read what's going on, check it out, see if it applies to you, and then reach out to a business banker or myself who can connect you to the right resources. Additionally, we do have a dedicated financial education platform online. It's, handsonbanking.org. It is non-branded. We're not talking about Wells Fargo. We're not trying to open accounts. It is information on general financial education, budgeting and savings, small business entrepreneurism information from elementary through high school, college, seniors, veterans, you name it. So please go in and check that out. We also have team members that would love to volunteer virtually, drop in maybe on an already scheduled Zoom meeting to come in and present some of those lessons live, and then open it up to Q&A, and again, help those folks that need that.
There's another question, a couple more questions. A lot of the other organizations are offering grants to businesses with revenues less than $1 million. Is there a program that is also being offered through Wells Fargo for the same?
As far as grants directly to for-profit businesses, no. Our foundation focuses on nonprofits, but part of an effort, if we look at the LA COVID Fund, where Wells Fargo donates $1 million or some odd dollars, those are grants to small businesses, micro entrepreneurs, and nonprofits. So again, we don't play a role in decisioning those grants, but they are available through the county, and I will be sharing them.
And so you indicated that the next funding cycle for TA for nonprofits is in QA 2021?
So for the Open for Business Fund, the CDFI has already ended on August 7th. The next round is going to open mid-September. We don't have a date yet, and that's going to be for technical assistance, small business service providers, nonprofits, as well as the response and resiliency. We moved pretty quickly on this, so we're kind of building the car as it rolls down the highway. But again, mid-September, please keep in touch with me, and I'll also let you know when there's a specific date where they can go in and apply, and also check out the guidelines, etc.
Yeah, that would be pretty awesome if you could get that information to us so we don't miss that funding date. Also, what can we do from the Black business community and from the CBO community? What can we do to be a greater resource for Wells Fargo to make sure that all the constituents in our community are being met?
I'm thinking about effective and long-term relationships, and it's all about clear communication, right? So again, you guys have my information. Let's keep in contact. Let me know what challenges are happening out in the community. Let me know if you're not able to connect with a business banker or if you're having other issues, but it's about talking with each other, challenges that are happening, success stories as well, and how we can help amplify that message and bring you what you need to help the community succeed.
Okay, and I'm going to open it up. Bianca, you have a question?
Can I say something?
Yes,
before the questions?
Yeah.
I just want to emphasize, I'm in, and I didn't mention this earlier, but I'm in commercial banking, so I work with businesses that have revenues from 50 million all the way up to 2 billion, annual revenues from 50 million all the way up to 2 billion. Jack mentioned he's in the foundation and community relations. So neither one of us are in small business banking, but we do have a huge small business banking group at Wells Fargo. And today we talked about resources, grants, because that's what we were asked to talk about. But there are specific bankers that work on direct loans. So if you're looking for that and can't get that contact information, you can contact us and we'll put you in contact with somebody. So I just want to mention that neither one of us are in that group, but we think it's important that we connect this information.
So let me ask you, DuVon, in the real estate, so in that commitment for the 250,000 homeowners, what's the outreach and the plan? I think that is very important for our businesses. A lot of times they can't get loans because they don't have the collateral, and then housing prices here in Los Angeles is astronomical. So what are some of the outreach plans that you have? And also with first-time buyers, what some of the programs that Wells Fargo has?
I would say I'm not in the real estate group, but I can get you information on what the strategy is for the outreach, and also get you information on what different programs they have. So we can follow. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. That sounds fair enough. Anyone have any other questions that they would actually like to ask? While we have the platform here. Stephen?
I have a question.
Okay.
So my name is Bianca Vobecchi Enterprises, and I'm very familiar with Wells Fargo Works. I'm actually featured on there. There's a couple of commercials. Wells Fargo came out, and they did a big filming for us, and they helped advertise our small business. We were also selected to ride in the Rose Parade with your CEO, which was very exciting in 2018. And we were on many TVs because of Wells Fargo. And I've also traveled around the United States with the diversity team and spoke on a lot of the small business panels to tell about my story, because I've been with Wells Fargo for 23 years and I've grown my company. So I know you guys have a really, really big diversity team. I think what a lot of the small businesses need is Wells Fargo is so big, and sometimes we don't know where to go. So it took me a long time to find out that I needed a relationship banker. I needed to have my own relationship banker, so I don't have to go to the branch or call the 800 number. I can email them whatever I want, and they email that to me. But I didn't know that was a possibility, So I think that kind of education, like how do you find your personal banker, someone that's just going to take care of you, when you get your business to a certain level. And that really would help a lot of diverse businesses to have that information. So what is the first step for the small businesses to find out who their personal banker is, and they can have that luxury?
So thanks for that, Bianca. Congratulations on being featured on the site. I hope it helped you, and I hope you were able to help others as well. It sounds like you've been very successful, so congratulations. As far as a relationship manager is concerned, and DuVon can speak to this as well, it depends if you're talking about just a consumer relationship or a business relationship. They're different groups. And if you go on wellsfargoworks.com, there should be some information on how to connect with a business banker. If not, there's always your friendly community relations team over here where you can reach out to us and ask. I know there's lots of resources within the websites at Wells. It can be a little daunting when you first get in there, but if you look towards the top of the page, there's also, the help tab, which again, you can ask specific questions or search for different areas within of what you're looking for to help your business. But the relationship manager information should be up in there towards the top near the help button. And if not, again, just please reach out to us and we'll get you connected.
And in addition to kind of the website, using that for a resource, we can ask a relationship manager to come on and talk to this group, in the coming weeks, and explain kind of what businesses they target, what size business, what types of industries they target, and we can share that with this group right here. So that's something we can work on as well.
That would be fantastic, fantastic. Michael, you raised your hand, you have a question?
Yeah, the question goes to, I guess, Jack or even Jesse. Wells Fargo, and my relationship with the bank goes back to like 1995 or something like that. Well, the question I wanted to ask was that, the bank over time has settled a lot of lawsuits for discriminatory practices in the mortgage business, among other things. But specifically in the mortgage business, my question relates to simply because a lot of people that go into business and small businesses end up using the equity in their personal residence as a way to fund the growth of their companies. And I'm just wondering, what can you tell us has actually changed at Wells Fargo to make sure that there's minimize these kind of disparate impacts that have happened in your mortgage business? Because it seemed to me that you'd be afraid to apply to Wells Fargo for a mortgage loan. And I don't know what you guys are doing to deal with that perception.
You know, that makes sense, Michael, and I agree with you. If we're talking back about 2008 with the refi boom, I was not with Wells at that time, but I did see myself personally. There was a lot of refinancing going on where buyers may not have been aware of all the ins and outs of adjustable interest rates, et cetera, which can get folks into trouble. There was also some inflated property values going on from an appraiser perspective. So, you know, a lot of times when you refinance, let's say you're in a 30-year mortgage and you're 10 years down, you know, first and foremost, those first years are a lot of interest. When you refinance for a lesser interest rate, it goes back to the 30 years and it looks like your payment is less. And with actually, you're paying more. So again, you know, it's about financial education. I'm not in the mortgage. Actually, Wells Fargo Home Mortgage is a separate entity. And as DuVon spoke, we could have somebody come on and talk to what's going on there, but it's about education. You know, back then, Wells Fargo did pull out of the brokerage business where, you know, a lot of it was happening. And, you know, there's some misinformation out there, but, you know, we're not mistaken. Things happened and folks got into trouble. So again, you know, back to Crystal's point, I think a lot of it comes down to effective financial education, what you're getting yourselves into. You know, when you see money on paper and pages of documents to sign, it gets confusing. And you trust your lender, as I would as well. So we have to be savvy to watch our own finances, be in control of them. And again, you know, we could dive deep into this. We can get you connected offline with somebody who actually is in the mortgage department and moving forward from those days, or actually have them come on one of your next webinars to speak.
And again, I'm not in the mortgage department, but I will say in addition to that, we have increased our compliance. I mean, we've hired additional compliance people to watch things just like that. And so I think we have additional significant investment in the compliance to look out for items just like that. So again, we could probably have someone speak more detail about it from the mortgage group, but I know that for a fact we've hired a lot of people in the compliance department to watch items like that.
And I believe that's kind of where we are today with what's all going on in the Black community. Those are some of our issues, making sure that we have all the resources that's going to make sure that we prosper and not set us back 10, 15, 20 years. And, you know, you all know that as Black people, you know, our trust levels are kind of very small. and it's because of those things that happen. So we just want to make sure going here forward that people feel comfortable that yes, they can come to Wells Fargo, they can go to B of A, and they're going to get equal treatment, and making sure that is not to set us back further than where we were, is to help us move forward. We can't have the predatory practices going on forward, just where we are today. I mean, everything is kind of falling into that space. DuVon, you talked about the certification, the supplier diversity. What are some of the opportunities? I believe you mentioned there was 49 million right here in LA alone. What are some of those opportunities that for our contractors and minority business owners?
That's a great question. I would probably have someone from supplier diversity share that with you, because I really don't know. In my role, I don't deal with that at all.
Okay.
But I think it's a question and another follow-up where we could have someone kind of either talk about that or share some information on what that is. Like you mentioned, we are a huge nation, really international organization. So I know the business has to be of a certain size to actually supply Wells Fargo, but we'll have to get more information on that. It's another takeaway I have to get more information on.
Okay, appreciate that. Appreciate that. Anyone else have any other questions that they would like to ask? Colette Moore from PCR. Is she on? Hello,
Hey,
Colette.
good afternoon or good morning, everybody still. Can you hear me?
Yes, good morning. Welcome. Glad to have you.
Oh, okay, great. Good morning. Hey, Crystal, and thanks, Steve. I just wanted to share follow-up on Wells Fargo. We are a technical assistance provider. And so I just wanted to share, because sometimes it helps to, I was hoping I could share screen really quickly just to put those dates up so people would have those dates. We are doing a bi-weekly training. It's about a 30-minute info session for this particular grant. You can apply multiple times, and we can provide you with the assistance to help you do that. Let me see.
No, I think you have permission now.
I just wanted to
Thank
you. So I just wanted to share this to make sure that everybody knew what the dates are. So to put these on, take a quick picture if you need to, put them in your phone because you can apply multiple times. And so you want to make sure to be able to apply for these next 3 rounds. The newest one will be opening on the 17th. And the application is not very difficult. It's not a challenge, but once you become a finalist, then you will have to provide additional information, but we can assist you with that as well. So if you would just make a note of that. And then I also wanted to share with you some additional other funding. We are providing this on a weekly class that we're doing, but we're sharing this on this list, the LA COVID Fund call that we are presenting. The Red Backpack Fund is for women-owned businesses. For those that are on, there's a new opening for that on September 8th through the 15th. That's the owner of Spanx is doing that, and it's been a monthly call for that. So all the ladies know Spanx on the call. Even if you don't wear them, you know them. So I encourage you to apply for that. This other one, Hello Alice, that is another monthly grant, and these are grants, so these do not have to be paid back. So I wanted to share that. Then also the Friends in New York, it's a little smaller for creative businesses. Hello Alice is general, of course, GoFundMe. If you're raising money, they are doing kind of some matching grants there. Google is still doing ad matching. Fundera's got a video type grant, but then I found this other one yesterday, Amber Grant. That's also a women's grant, and that's for $4,000, and that's you apply by the end of every month. And so the links are here. I can provide this to Crystal and Stephen, and they can send this to you guys. But just wanted to make you aware that there are other options available for non-lending type money. But most of them tend to be more lottery, and there is a selection process, but you can apply multiple times. So I encourage those that are interested in grants to take a look at those options and apply. So, and then we also have classes to support those, and I'll drop that link in the website. And just wanted to follow up. I know DuVon mentioned the PPP and erasing the debt. So they have resources. We have been training on this every week since it came out. And so I have a team that's, actively looking at all of the new guidance and regulations. And so we update that every week as needed. But if you want to get a head start on even what Wells Fargo is going to be providing, then feel free to drop in that class and you'll get the list of documents and support documents that are going to be required in order to erase the debt for that PPP program. So I encourage you all to participate in that. And I'll drop in the link for the other webinars. And that's it for me. Thanks.
Thank you, Colette.
Crystal and Stephen.
Michael is raising his hand. And just before you do that, Michael, this evening I am participating in a webinar called Reclaim Your Future. It's advancing Black entrepreneurs. It's a partnership with the Los Angeles Urban League has with Chase Bank for Business. I am the facilitator. It's this evening at 6 o'clock. I've posted the information there. It's a free 90-minute session on moving forward past COVID. All righty, Michael.
A quick question, and I'm not sure who at Wells Fargo maybe can answer this. When I spoke to the group last week, I talked about that I thought, based on my experience in 2008 to 2010, that credit was going to tighten. And in this discussion we're having now, there's been, pretty significant emphasis on getting, loans you don't have to pay back in grants. And I'm wondering, and maybe DuVon, maybe you have some insights in this. Is credit tightening? Do you see that as an inevitable outcome of what COVID has caused in this, kind of economic travesty that we've got ourselves caught in?
Absolutely. I think this is true across the nation, across all banks. Credit is tightening for all businesses. I know Wells Fargo on a macro level took some huge reserves last quarter because they know losses are going to happen. Businesses are going to suffer. They also provided billions of dollars in loans to support their existing customers last quarter. But absolutely, credit is tightening, and I think that emphasizes why, one, kind of look at the resources we talked about earlier about how you look at your business, your cash flows, how to survive. And also to Bianca's point, if you have a relationship manager, if you have a banker, you need to be in communication with that banker. Communication will be key going forward. And I will say this as a caveat and to be real, even if you do all the things right, doesn't mean everything's going to turn out. I mean, it's tough. It's rough. I mean, if your business doesn't have cash flow, you need to face that reality and work with your companies, your bankers, your suppliers, your customers. But absolutely, credit is it has already tightened, and it's going to be tight for at least 2020, if not 2021 as well. Absolutely, Michael.
So with that, so since we're talking cash flow, then they would have to have accessibility to cash flow. So if credit is tightening, then what should be the strategies for credit limits? Because I think I read somewhere recently that some of the credit limits have been dropped for those line of credits that businesses did have. So what should be the strategies for our small businesses?
Well, I would say, and this is more for kind of customers that I work with when they talk to me about kind of coping with COVID and how they're going to continue. The first thing I'm getting asked from my credit side is, okay, what is your weekly cash out, not weekly, but monthly cash flow? How much are you spending each month? How much do you have in cash? How soon are you going to be out of cash? And then what are your outlooks for the rest of the year? So those are the first set of questions is, do you know where you stand today? We know a lot of businesses are losing money, or at least not getting as much as they did even 6 months ago, much less a year ago. Okay, what does that picture look like? So it's really understanding your business and communicating that. And again, communicating that doesn't mean you're going to have an instant solution. That means, okay, now we got to work through this. But if you're in my position, if I don't know what the company is making on a monthly basis, and not income, not net income, not what's on paper, but what actual cash flow is, I can't even start to come up with a solution or a plan. So I think the first thing is understanding how much cash are you using every month? And what does that look like for the next 3, 6, 12 months? So that's kind of the first step.
Okay. All righty.
I have a question, Crystal.
Yes.
I'm curious. I'd like to ask Colette, from a CDFI perspective, are you noticing, more stringent underwriting guidelines from a CDFI lender?
Well, no, not really, because, but our limits kind of in spending are just limited by access to capital for the CDFI. So, we appreciate the Wells Fargo coming together, but we're definitely looking at that. How are people going to be able to pay it back? And so we're definitely looking at write-offs and, what kind of risks do we have out there in terms of current clients and new clients. So to that, yes, there is some tightening.
And for those businesses that are, because the PPP for a lot of them have already run out, right? So they're operating on their own, but we're still not in a position where we're back at it. We're not even at half mass yet. I mean, because a lot of businesses are still very limited in how they they generate revenue. So it's kind of a quagmire, actually. If you're limited by the city guidelines and the county guidelines on how you can do business, it's kind of difficult to increase those revenues, especially businesses that don't have an opportunity to do a digital type platform to increase those revenues. Would you not agree?
And Selma, you had a question. Can you share that with us?
Selma?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Finally, you see my face after all these months.
Selma, pretty face.
At any rate, my question is, I understand that Wells Fargo has had some constraints given their upward limit and participation in the PPP loan program, just because of some regulatory things that you all are going through. If there is another round of PPP, is this recalibrated, and will you all be able to participate in the new rounds of PPP?
I'll try to address this or answer this. I would say it really depends on what the government decides the program is and what they communicate to the banks, what the programs and guidelines will be. So it's really all to be determined depending on what the program is and what they communicate to the banks. So it's unknown at this point, but as soon as it's known, I'll be glad to share this with the team.
Thank you.
Well, we want to thank DuVon and Jack for coming and sharing with us. And Colette, thank you for your input. Bianca, thank you. You guys have been fantastic. You guys, Jack and DuVon, can you put in your information in the chat room? So if anyone have any information, would like to have any questions for you, or address some issues that didn't get addressed today. And also for those referrals. And please do send all of it, your links and your sheets, your fact sheets, because that would be very helpful. I do think, DuVon, you're absolutely right. The open line of communication is what we all need in order to feel trust and to know that your organizations are out there to help us. And then just telling us how should we do that? Just give us some very specific guidelines on how we should do that. And moving forward, it is going to be very tough. So we're going to need to have, I guess, a coalition of people working together and cooperating with each other so we can make it. Because, basically, if we really look at it on a bigger scale, when one fall, all of us fall. And so we need to make sure. So we're going to close shortly, but I do want to acknowledge that Kamala Harris is the VP running mate for Biden, and that's awesome. There's been a lot of chatter on Facebook that's kind of crazy, but we acting nuts, but let's all just stay forward and keep the eye on the main prize to change the current administration in the White House, because we're here because of that. So we want to thank you. Also, if anyone has anything that you want to share with us, please send it out. I will send out notifications with the copy of this recording is available here, and as well as it's broadcasted live on Facebook. And by later this weekend, it will be on YouTube. So you can go to the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert to see any of the videos and programs that we have had. What is it, Stephen, 23? Okay, I think there's about 15 of them that is archived at the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert YouTube channel. You can find them there. Also, guys, tune in to, Friday to my other show called The Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert. We broadcast live on Facebook and YouTube at 3 o'clock. We are showcasing our winners of the 2020 virtual business camp. I taught 35 kids how to become business owners, and we are going to be showcasing our winners on Friday. So we'd love for you guys to reach out and say hello to them and congratulate them. They're awesome young people from the ages of 13 to 18, and they did an outstanding job last month. I am so proud of these young babies, our new future bank depositors and business owners. So we want to support them. Yes, Stephen, did you have something you wanted to close out with?
I'd like to thank our last week guest, Michael Banner, for his insightful comments, and others on the who called in. I failed to mention that I'm the chief strategist on a volunteer basis for the Black Business Association as we celebrate our 50th year in business. On behalf of the Black Business Association, welcome relationship with Wells Fargo, how we can and others can be a bridge to the African American community. With that, I thank you, Crystal. I thank everyone for tuning in. And next week, same time, same login.
And if you guys are interested, someone asked how do they support the youth, just email me. My email is cmitchell544@gmail.com. Actually, I will be looking for peers and mentors for them. We have a program that's starting, a year-round program called Biz Institute for the kids. And we're bringing back all our kids into a program and helping get their businesses launched. And they will be needing our support to make sure that happens. There's some phenomenal businesses opportunities here. Kids are gonna be opening up bank accounts. Kids, they're too young for loans just yet, but we're working another angle for them to acquire capital for their business. So we need your support on that. So thank you guys. See you next week. We will have a riveting guest. Thanks to Stephen, who is the producer of this program. So see you guys next week. Thank you. Tune into the Business Zone. Thank you
for having us.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Paulette.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Crystal. Thanks, Stephen. Bye-bye.
You're welcome.